Hi everyone, welcome back to True Crime Documentary. Today we're going to delve into a heart-wrenching and disturbing case that will leave you speechless. At approximately 6:23 a.m. on a fateful morning, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation received a distressing call that would change the lives of many forever. The call was regarding a shooting at the Makoka Cave State Park campground. When officers arrived at the scene, they were met with a horrific sight: 3 deceased bodies at a campsite. The victims were a family brutally murdered in the midst of a peaceful camping trip. Today we'll explore the details of this senseless crime and try to make sense of the senseless. Before we dive into the events of that fateful day, let's take a moment to acknowledge the victims and their loved ones. Our thoughts and condolences go out to everyone affected by this tragedy. The Schmidt family, consisting of 42-year-old Tyler, his wife Sarah, also 42, and their 2 children, 9-year-old Arlo and 6-year-old Lula, were a loving family who enjoyed spending time together outdoors. Tyler, an IT software engineer, and Sarah, who worked at the University of Kansas, met while attending Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri. They built a life together, filled with love, laughter, and adventure. Tyler, originally from Cedar Falls, Iowa, and Sarah, born in Kansas City, Missouri but raised in St. Louis, were high school sweethearts who shared a passion for the outdoors. They instilled this love in their children, who adored camping, hiking, and exploring nature. In 2018, the family moved to Cedar Falls, where Sarah started working at the community library. They made it a point to go camping regularly, creating cherished memories that would last a lifetime. On that fateful morning, the Schmidt family embarked on a camping trip to the Makoka Cave State Park campground, a place they had visited before. They set up their campsite, eager to spend quality time together, unaware of the horror that was to come. But what happened next would shatter their lives forever. In the next part of our video, we'll explore the events leading up to the tragedy and try to understand what led to this senseless act of violence. On this day at Makoka Cave State Park, the Schmidt family had set up their tent on the park grounds. On July 22nd, in the early morning as the sun rose before 6:30 a.m., the unfortunate event took place. An assailant murdered 3 members of the Schmidt family in their sleep, leaving the son Arlo, who had escaped from the murder scene. Tyler was shot multiple times and stabbed to death, Sarah was stabbed to death, and Lula died from strangulation and a gunshot. Anthony Orlando Sherwin, a 23-year-old man from La Vista, Nebraska, was suspected to be the murderer. He had also been traveling and came camping at the same park with his family, his father Joe Sherwin, and his mother Cecilia Sherwin, but they were 75 yards away from the Schmidt family.
Help! Somebody please help!
Arlo, the young boy who escaped, ran out to cry out for help.
Please, you have to help me! My family, something terrible happened.
Oh my goodness, what happened? Are you okay?
He met another camper who happened to be Sherwin's mom, trying to explain the situation to her.
Come with me, let's get you to safety.
Cecilia Sherwin held the boy's hand and walked fast to the entrance of the camp. It was there that she called 911.
Jackson County 911, where's your emergency?
Makoka Caves? Yeah, okay. What's going on out there? Shooting. And he said that his parents were shot in the blood. Oh, I don't know, They're shot. That's scary.
Cecilia tried to explain the situation, her voice trembling with fear. The dispatcher asked to speak with Arlo to explain what he saw.
I was in the tent with my dad, mom, and sister when I woke up. I saw a man in black clothes with a weapon. I heard my sister screaming, and then there were gunshot sounds. I ran out and I felt my family were hurt.
The call lasted for 23 minutes. Then, the investigation began. A park ranger arrived immediately from the call, and observations established that the killer acted alone, and no accomplice was found or linked to the killer.
When the police arrived, they found 3 of the Schmidt family dead.
The scene was grim, and the investigation was now in full swing. After a thorough search, Sherwin was found dead somewhere in the camp. Investigations conducted showed that Sherwin committed suicide. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The officers arrived at the incident scene before 6:30 a.m. and asked that all campers evacuate the park. They were all interviewed by the officers, trying to gather solid information to use for further investigation. It was then that they found that Sherwin wasn't part of the campers that left the camp. Also, when they heard that he was armed, they surrounded the park in search for him, until they found him dead. From the search and little observations made, it was determined that Sherwin was the killer. Officers found the body of this man, Anthony Sherwin, 23 years old. Sherwin appears to have suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities have not confirmed how the other campers were killed, nor Sherwin's relationship to them. We are told there is no danger to the public. However, the park is considered an active crime scene, so it is closed to the public because of the murders. 2 weeks later, on Friday, August 4th, autopsy results came out, and the cause of death was reviewed. The police have refused to respond to some questions like if the gun found on Sherwin's body was the same used for the murder.
The Sherwin family demanded the full and final reports, asking the lead investigators whether a strong match for the gun was seen, but no reply was given. The information they demand is not public. We can only share immediate facts and circumstances of the case.
The DCI also declared that all evidence collected from the time of the incident to the present is substantial enough to conclude that Sherwin was the one who committed the homicide, and he acted alone. The Sherwin family doesn't believe it. Cecilia said that her son couldn't have been the killer. His character and the evidence shared so far do not prove that her son committed the act. Cecilia Sherwin, Anthony's mother, disputed the police's claim that her son was the killer. She pointed out that Arlo, the surviving son of the Schmidt family, had described the attacker as wearing black, but her son was wearing green shorts that day. She had given him the green shorts as the only clean clothes remaining from their travels and camping trip. Cecilia described her son as kind, calm, sensitive, and an outstanding student who was an aspiring businessman. She said that her son would never commit such a heinous act. She sympathized with Arlo, saying that she regularly thinks of him. The Sherwin family decided to independently obtain an autopsy report for their son, but the results only added to their confusion. The police also refused to disclose the specific area in the park where Sherwin's body was found. The Quad City Times and the Dispatch-Argus requested multiple records related to the shooting under the Freedom of Information Act and Iowa's Open Records Law. However, the Iowa Department of Public Safety denied the request. The newspapers sought information about the incident, hoping to gain access to various documents. Despite their efforts to obtain these records through legal channels designed to ensure transparency, their attempts were unsuccessful. The Department of Public Safety's refusal to release the information prevented the publications from obtaining the requested details. Cecilia concluded that the Department of Public Safety was totally ignoring all requests. The police could not say whether Sherwin had a criminal record. A search of online court records in Nebraska and Iowa found no records of criminal activities committed by Sherwin in the past. The only record that Sherwin had with the police prior to the incident was when he went to a police station in July 2017 to report someone who tried to use his insurance to get dental work done in Oklahoma. He later called the police to inform them that his insurance company had made a mistake by sending him someone else's bill. The Lista Police Department has released a statement saying that no motive has been found behind the violent murder at Makoka Cave State Park. The families of both the victims and the suspected murderer, 23-year-old Anthony Sherwin, have confirmed that the two parties had never met before. Mitch Mortvedt, assistant director of the Iowa DCI, said that investigators have found no evidence to suggest what precipitated the murder, other than its randomness. While they have found hints about the motive, they do not plan to release that information to the public. Local news reporter Matt Holdman said that the lack of motive is leaving everyone with unthinkable emotions, and that some questions may never be answered. The investigation is ongoing, but it appears that Sherwin may have carried out the killings with little motive. Mortvedt said that they have found no interaction between Sherwin and the Schmidt family, and that the murder seems to have been a random act. The incident led to the evacuation of camps surrounding the state park, including the Christian camp Beth Salak, which is located about 1.5 miles away from the Makoka Caves. The camp's executive assistant said that Fridays are usually pickup days for campers, but the plans were changed when local law enforcement sent a notification about the violent murder situation at the state park. The staff at Christian Camp Beth Salak did an excellent job of keeping the campers calm and unaware of the situation unfolding at Makoka Cave State Park. They told the campers they were going on a surprise visit to Little Bear Park and managed to load everyone onto the bus without arousing suspicion. As news of the tragedy spread, community members and leaders began to react. Mayor Rob Green posted on Facebook, announcing the news and sharing information about funeral arrangements. He personally knew Sarah, one of the victims, and her family, who were regular walkers in the Sartor Park neighborhood. Green was devastated by the deaths and promised to share details about services and memorials as they became available. He also announced that the Cedar Falls Library would be closed on Saturday in July, out of respect for the staff who loved and worked with Sarah. Maggie Mouse, a frequent patron of the Bluff Lake Catfish Farm restaurant, was shocked by the news. She described the atmosphere in the restaurant as much quieter than usual, as both customers and employees were trying to process the tragedy. The restaurant is located close to the park, and many people typically drive through it to get there. Mouse also expressed her concern about the ongoing mental health crisis in the United States, saying that it was tragic and sad that incidents like this still occur in the world. On that fateful day, the eastern entrance to the park was closed off, and armed DNR conservation officers were stationed at the gate. According to DNR spokesman Tammy Cron, the gate will remain closed until July 28th, as the investigation continues. In the aftermath of the tragedy, all camping bookings were canceled and refunded that same Friday afternoon. Iowa. DNR Director Kayla Lyon issued a statement expressing her sorrow for the families affected by the incident. She said, "Our hearts go out to the families and loved ones of the victims. We are committed to supporting them during this difficult time." Meanwhile, Iowa Governor Ashley Henson took to Twitter to condemn the horrific and senseless act of violence. He expressed sympathy for Iowans and reassured them that his administration would continue to monitor the situation until it is resolved. The Cedar Falls community came together to mourn the loss of the Schmidt family, who were senselessly killed while camping at the park. A celebration of life ceremony was held for Sarah, Tyler, and their 6-year-old daughter, Lula. Their 9-year-old son, Arlo, miraculously survived the attack. Family members spoke about the Schmidts, describing them as lovers of the outdoors and big family people. Cedar Falls Mayor Rob Green said that they hope this ceremony will be something Arlo can look back on when he's older and find comfort in the love and support of his community. Many other officials and community leaders took to social media to express their grief and reassure the community of their safety. The firm that employed Tyler also issued a statement describing him as a delight to work with and an exemplary professional. They expressed their profound sympathies to his family and his surviving son, Arlo. 2 days after the tragedy, Sarah's brother Adam spoke out about the loss of his sister and her family. He described them as kind, gentle, and loving people who will be deeply missed. On Sunday, Sarah's brother Morehouse spoke about his memories of his older sister and her family. He described the Schmidt family as the perfect Midwestern family of 4, admired by all. According to Morehouse, the incident was completely random, and nobody in either family knew the suspect. He said, "We don't know of any interaction that occurred. It was simply this individual woke up that morning and decided to pick a tent and walk into that tent where my sister and her family was sleeping and never got a chance to wake up." The Schmidt family was simply enjoying a family vacation at the park, doing what they loved before becoming victims of the tragedy. About a year and a half ago, they started camping for the first time, and the kids took to it immediately. It was their thing that they loved to do as a family, to get outside and be together. On Tuesday, August 2, 2022, a memorial event to honor the Schmidt family took place at Overman Park in Cedar Falls. The event was organized by the Cedar Falls community and drew about 200 people who came to honor and sympathize with the Schmidt family. The park was set aside for neighbors to gather before the ceremony, and the event was live-streamed for family and friends to watch, so they could see just how much the Schmidt family was loved by all. A temporary memorial site had been set up to honor the Schmidt family at the entrance sign of the Makoka Cave State Park near the visitor center. Today's top story is about remembering a family killed in a celebration of life that took place for the Schmidt family, who was attacked while at Makoka Cave State Park earlier this month. Tyler, Sarah, and their 6-year-old daughter Lula Schmid were shot and killed by a gunman. Their son Arlo was able to escape. The Schmidt family lived in Cedar Falls, where Sarah was a librarian at the public library, and they were active in the community. A GoFundMe page was set up to help the family after the tragic death news. The page described Tyler and Sarah as possessing the superpower of truly seeing people and helping them to feel seen and heard. By Monday afternoon, $25,000 had already been raised for the Schmidt family. Tyler's company contributed $5,000 to the account as their support to Tyler's son, Arlo. A separate meal train was also created to help the victims' families. Right now, the account for Arlo has collected $294,000 and is still accepting donations. Arlo is living with an aunt and uncle in Cedar Falls, Iowa. 1 year after the tragedy, the state of the park has returned to normal. Families are still camping at the park, having fun, and enjoying the caves. Scott Carroll from Wisconsin, who was camping with his family, said in an interview that he won't allow the scary and violent event to ruin his time with his wife and daughter. Tomorrow marks 1 year since 3 members of a Cedar Falls family were murdered while camping at Makoka Cave State Park. There are still many questions left unanswered. Tyler, Sarah, and 6-year-old Lula were found dead inside their tent around 6 in the morning. The family's 9-year-old son Arlo escaped and survived the attack. Investigators found the body of 23-year-old Anthony Sherwin near the scene. They say he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Investigators say the Nebraska man was in the park camping with his family at the time of the murders. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation said evidence showed Sherwin acted alone in killing the 3 family members, but investigators never released a motive. They also never released how or if the family and Sherwin knew each other. Sherwin's mother told reporters she did not believe her son did it. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you think Sherwin committed the triple homicide? Share your opinion in the comments section below. If you want to see more videos like this, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you can stay updated on our latest true crime videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.